This is Friday, October 30th, World History. Well, we learned that when the Spanish Armada had been defeated, Elizabeth is going to hear about the treachery of a cousin, Mary Stuart. Mary Stuart, who was already in England trying to be safe, was arrested, was thrown in the Tower of London, and was beheaded in 1587. It was under Elizabeth that the English began to colonize the New World. Now, John Cabot had gone to the New World under the reign of Henry VIII, but one of Elizabeth's old sea dogs, Walter Raleigh, is going to go to the New World in what is now North Carolina. He's going to name the region Virginia. He names it after the Virgin Queen, Queen Elizabeth. Elizabeth, in her many years as queen, reigned supreme. She did ask for advice from the Privy Council, but she was always her own leader. This time in English history is called the Elizabethan Age. This video here kind of summarizes some of Elizabeth's life. We know a great deal about this time period because of William Shakespeare. William Shakespeare was a writer who wrote poems, those are sonnets, and plays, and many of the plays and many of the sonnets were inspired by the Queen or were written at the request of the Queen. The Queen was known to come to the Globe Theatre, which was the theater that Shakespeare owned, to watch many of his productions. Here's a biography of Shakespeare. Well, let's move on. Let's go to the Habsburg. Now, you can tell from the map that the Habsburgs are located here in Spain and up here in the Germanic provinces. The Habsburgs were the richest, most powerful family in Europe in the 16th and 17th century. That would be 15 and 1600s. They were the Holy Roman Emperor. They spoke for Catholics in Spain and Portugal and most of southern Europe. About the only place they didn't speak for was the middle part of Italy, which of course was controlled by Rome. The Habsburgs are going to unite two families, Elizabeth, who was a Castile, and Ferdinand, who was from Aragon. The two will unite to form the Habsburg Empire in Spain. Now, Ferdinand and Elizabeth marriage allowed the Habsburgs to remove powerful noblemen who would be a threat to their rule. It allowed them to arrange marriages, and because they are considered the Holy Roman Emperor, they now can use their influence on the Pope to appoint religious leaders. Isabel and Ferdinand would begin the plan to drive the Muslims, the Moors, and the Jews out of Spain. It was under Ferdinand and Isabella that Ignatius Loyola will be wounded in battle. Charles V, who was the grandson of Ferdinand and Isabella, will marry into the Habsburg family as well. Now, even though Charles was a member of the Habsburg, he married a second cousin, which was also a Habsburg, to strengthen the power. The Habsburgs had been declared the Holy Roman Emperor in feudal times. The Pope will reaffirm this during the Renaissance. The Habsburg has restored the Italians and the papacy after the time of Babylonian captivity. If you remember, this is when Clement is going to move the administration of the Roman Catholics to Avignon, France. Charles V is going to finance wars with the Ottomans, the Turks, with the money that he made from the Americas. It would be under Charles V that Cortez would begin to do his thing in what we would today call Mexico. Charles V became involved in the 30-Year War with France over the German duchies. Now, the German duchies were Protestant, And Charles is going to do everything in his power to make sure that France does not take over the Protestant German duchies. It had little to do with religion. It had more to do with who would control these areas. In time, the pressure of the wars will cause Charles V to have a breakdown, and he will live the rest of his life in a monastery. Charles II will continue, try that again, Philip II will continue with Charles's plan. Now, it is at this time in world history that we have the Spanish Inquisition. The Spanish Inquisition was started under Philip II, and it was an attempt to drive Jews and Moors out of the Holy Roman Empire, out of Spain and Portugal. Now, of course, you can tell from the sketch over here that torture was involved to get information. Here is a quick video about the Spanish Inquisition. Philip will unite all of Spain and all of Portugal. Now, it was under Philip that the Spanish are going to make the most gold and silver from the Americas. But it was also under Philip that English sea dogs, which we learned about yesterday, are going to begin to plunder the Spanish galleons. Philip is going to use Spain's considerable wealth to build an armada to destroy the English. We learned yesterday that they were unsuccessful and that England is going to destroy most of the ships of the armada, and those that are able to return will only be a fraction of what left off. Here is a gentleman who'd like to talk to us about the Spanish Armada and its effect on Spain. Well, Spain began a decline at the start of the 1700s. The problem was that the amount of silver coming from the New World had become less and less. Spain had paid huge fortunes to go into wars that they ultimately lost. Many of the farmers, many of the merchants in Spain had been driven out by the Inquisition. Neglect of trade and industry, and we're going to have a competition with other European powers. Soon Spain is going to find that it is no longer the richest country in the world. The Spanish are going to lose agriculture as the Moors are kicked out of Spain. And finally, we have the dependence upon wealth of the Americas. Now, I think this would probably be a good place for us to stop, because tomorrow we need to look at the French.